A conflict with a colleague is a touchy issue. Outside your workplace, you can simply avoid people with whom you cannot get along. But at work, such a conflict can become a big problem for you. The thing is that it is often quite impossible to avoid interaction with your colleagues. Or you could do it, but at the cost of sabotaging your work. If a fight with a colleague poisons your workday, this session is for you. Let's start by saying that it's good to have different views on how to do the job. As you discuss disagreements, you can enhance efficiency of the process or improve the outcome, even if you are both angry and anxious. You are both employees of the same company with your competencies and skills. And if you are still working in the organization, then your skills are valued. Let's take it as a given. However, try to answer this question honestly. Was your conflict due to a work disagreement or because of some personal hostility? If by this time you realize that there's a personal component, and most likely there is, think about this. Perhaps your colleague reminds you of someone from your personal history. Often, we project parental figures onto our bosses, and we ourselves fall into a position of a child, taking offense and coming into conflict for the sake of self-affirmation. If a colleague is on the same level as you can also associate them with someone from your valued relationship. Why does it bother you? Because in this way, you automatically extrapolate another person's intentions and attitudes based on associations and not on actual facts. So, say you already have assumptions about what your colleague thinks of you. The problem is that our brain will only take in information that will support the initial prejudice. Here's a simple example. If you think that a colleague hates you will perceive her attempts to establish contact with you as hypocrisy. And you will instantaneously single out her second long glance of disapproval and will consider it a confirmation of your hypothesis. Try to keep track of the moments when you have thoughts about the intentions or the attitudes of your colleague towards you. How confident are you in this idea from 0 to 100? What situation prompted this thought? What alternative explanations can you give for your colleague's behavior in this situation? Remember that in 99% of cases, thoughts that may arise in you about a colleague's attitude are just speculations. Moreover, in a work environment, feelings and relationships are rarely exposed directly, while the space for imagination is huge. How do you feel about your colleague? If you are intimidated by interactions with her, you may look tense and suspicious. It is this behavior that can elicit a response from a colleague in the form of irritation or coldness. Now, try to describe what your colleague thinks of you. Think about how your belief that a coworker treats you in a certain way affects your behavior, and as a result, your relationship. Another thing that may be at the core of your conflict is competition or envy. Are you struggling at work for resources or influence? Maybe both of you are applying for some promotion or want to stand out before your boss. In this case, you should not blame and shame yourself for having such a feeling, although envy is condemned in society. Better think over this. If a colleague is indeed better than you in what you do, what does this say about you? Is this really evidence of your worthlessness and inability? Do you think that you are obliged to always be the best? Is losing a disaster for you? To calm your emotions and get back into the working mood, try to concentrate on the contribution your colleague is making to your common cause, regardless of your ongoing conflict. You can always find stuff for which you respect your colleague for and feel grateful to them. You are, most probably. Where do your goals coincide? And what result do you strive for? By redirecting your mind to these aspects, you will notice how your anger and resentment diminish. And of course, like any conflict, a conflict with a colleague will definitely not be aggravated by a direct but respectful discussion. In conversation, try to be as specific as possible about your requests to a colleague in behavioral terms, and avoid accusations and evaluations. It is much better to talk about exactly where you are having difficulties in your communication and why it is important for you and your common work. Bringing or laying out all you think is not a good idea because it is not a session with a therapist. Besides, as we have already discussed, a great deal in your conflict can be more about you than about your colleague, and they do not need to know about it. Instead, focus on aspects of the conflict that will help you rebuild a working alliance. A good result of communication will not be a tearful reconciliation with a mutual exchange of sympathies or fellow feelings, but a clear agreement that you both will adhere to. If you can't come to an agreement personally, you can invite a colleague to attend mediation or supervision with you. If your organization has such options, or as a last resort, talk in front of your superiors. Finally, I would like to remind you of a simple truth. If you don't like someone or someone doesn't like you, it's okay. We can't be liked by everyone, can we? But being able to negotiate and cooperate even with those you don't like very much is an important and useful skill. A conflict with a colleague is a great opportunity to improve it.